The marketing push to NBA 2K22 has already begun. As for this guy, as well as some community members I've been keeping track of, we're going to be extremely cautious this time around before purchasing the game, and to be quite honest, may not be purchasing the game at all. We'll talk about that and more. It's Mr. Hurst, and this is Sim Sports Gaming Network. Welcome to Sim Sports Gaming Network, your place for simulation gameplay, breakdowns, and more. Thanks for tuning in. And so we're going to get right into it here. I got my trusty little clipboard. Haven't done a trusty clipboard in a while, so we're going to roll with that here to make sure that we don't miss anything, because moving forward, we want to make sure that we're staying on top of the news that is coming forward leading to the release of NBA 2K22. And so let's just get right into it. And so, as we all know, next gen 2K21 is a complete disaster in terms of the gameplay. Now, everything's always in the eye of the beholder, but I guess those of you that like the idea of being able to come into the lane and just repeatedly dunk on people, maybe you guys are cool with that. The part you can't possibly be cool with is you're the one defending, and before you can react, you have been sucked into a canned animation that prevents you from doing anything but getting posterized. And that is not fun. And then of course all the other little, quirks and such with the game that people have been talking about. Loading times was an issue. Trying to hook up with your teammates was an issue. Being actually in the game, you're still dealing with the same dumb stuff, warping here and there, let alone the can animations that you're, just stuck and you can't move, but, players just being warped in general to certain parts of the court to either gain an advantage or prevent you from having an advantage, and it's just non-stop. And so it seems like their focus with next gen was all about the cosmetics. They put all this work into the city, and don't get me wrong, during that honeymoon period, now aside from of course Rookieville, which we won't get into because it was Rookieville, but I myself was just blown away by the depth of being able to go into the different neighborhoods and travel across the city. But once that initial honeymoon period wore off, it was just like, I gotta ride this skateboard all the way over here to the other side of the city to be able to play the 3v3 versus the computer and those random people you have to find before you even get to be able to go across the city for the stinking game against the 3v3 CPUs in order to rep your guy up. That got old quick. And what was I going to do? Go get a bike or a hoverboard? They didn't offer any cars, and if they had, all those things would have been expensive as heck when it comes to VC. And so all those things together, it was just like, like I'm just done with it. I'm in this thing for the gameplay. I want a simulation basketball experience, but it seems like their major focus again was the cosmetics. 2K16, you could also argue 2K19, at least on the defensive end, was a much better game in terms of gameplay. You had control of your player. One of the things that irritates me as well is I'll go up for a specific dunk. You're supposed to be having total control. Right hand dunk, left hand dunk, right hand layup, left hand layup, Euro step, cradle. Now, those things don't happen consistently. You'll go up for a dunk and your guy starts the dunk animation and immediately gets canned out of his dunk animation. It happens way more often in next gen, although current gen is barely better. But it's still happening. But again, it was current gen. I guess we expected more of the same there. But you didn't expect this from next gen. And so it was just it was really shameful, and there's a lot of hate all over social media for next gen right now, and most people have either gone back to current gen or even went back to 20, and so that's saying a lot. And so they really need to focus on creating a simulation gameplay where every player has control of their player regardless of the situation. Now, this is not the first time you guys have heard this. You guys made promises to us that those things were going to happen. Get into that in a little bit. But incentives is another it just doesn't make sense to go into, for example, Court Conqueror and spend all that time playing Court Conqueror to come out with a jersey or shoes or a sleeve. Really? I didn't play all that to get a stinking jersey. If I really wanted a jersey because it's cosmetic, I could have gone into the NBA store or Swags or whatever and just purchased that on my own. But the fact of the matter is, it's not really all that important to me. I want good simulation gameplay, and I want some incentives that actually mean something to me. For example, VC. Imagine, let's say we're doing the 5v5. You got 5 players, have the court worth $25,000. Excuse me, 25,000 VC. Each player comes out of the court with 5,000 VC. Like, I would play through Court Conqueror if I got 5,000 for every win. Maybe 5,000 is a little steep. I'd do it for 1,000 per court. If I was gonna get 1,000 VC per court, I'd be cool. You know what? Maybe even 500. I wouldn't go below 500, but 500 per court. 5 courts, that's 2,500 VC. That might be all right. Getting 5,000 out of it would be better for sure. But there are incentives that you guys can do. Oh, hey, how about this? You go all the way through Court Conqueror, you get a hoverboard. That would be cool as heck. Or you get a bike, or you get a trike. You can do stuff like that. Unlimited tattoos. Stuff like that. Those are incentives people would be interested in. Not a single arm sleeve. Not a single pair of shoes. Not a single jersey. It's not doing much for us. And so y'all need to up the ante when it comes to incentives and rewards for playing this game. People are investing, as I said in the previous video, especially if you're those content creators who make a living off this stuff, people are investing like $300 or more into this game on builds. Like, hook us up with some VC. At the very least, give us some of your higher value prizes there. That would go a long way. But that's enough of a bit of a rant there on the disappointment of next gen. And so moving forward into NBA 2K22, the marketing hype, I guess you could call it, has already started. And so the first thing they've done is they've acquired Hookbang development. And so 2K is now going to have this additional development team who's going to help them work on their game. Now, I'm not going to go into a lot of details about this, but AllCity LiveTV has a really great video that you can see up here, and it'll be in the description below. You can check that out, and he kind of breaks that down real nice for us, and so you can go ahead and do that. But that is like the beginning of the hype, kind of. And so I would encourage you to be a resourceful consumer, because those of us that was super hyped because we bought into the hype surrounding the release of the next gen console with the next gen game, we went out and got the bundle. because we wanted to be able to play right away, but then we were looking forward to next gen. And then, boy, did we get hooked. I gotta use an appropriate term here, but we got bamboozled when it came to next gen. And so I want us to be resourceful consumers, and I would advise you to follow the hype train, but not in terms of getting hype, but in terms of, is this a purchase that I should be making based on what they're showing us? And is what they're showing us look strikingly similar to what we saw going into NBA 2K21? I'm saying a lot there, and I'm kind of being deliberate in the pace of my speech here, because I think it's very important that we as the consumer be able to let them know that we understand our value and we're not stupid. Okay? So it could easily turn into a hype thing by looking, oh, so now they've got this additional development team. So, man, this is probably going to be the best one yet, which next gen was supposed to be the best one yet. But if you will go to your browser and look up NBA 2K22 news, right away you will see that there is a site there that is already talking about NBA 2K22 and talking about how 21 was just leaps and bounds ahead and it was awesome and all this, that, and the other. And how with the addition of the acquisition, the sky's the limit basically with NBA 2K22, and it's all designed to get you to spend that money on and probably even get that bundle. But here's something to think about. How many people do you think are going to be able to actually purchase a next-gen console even going into this next Christmas? Because so far we've seen between the PlayStation and the Xbox Series S and X, as soon as those suckers come out, boom, they're gone. Not to mention the average consumer is probably not able to just fork over $6 in order to get this system. And so what's going to end up happening again? There's going to be a slew of people that leading into Christmas might actually have an opportunity to get the next gen console, but then they're also going to want to continue to play current gen in the meantime. So what's going to happen? That's right, 2 separate gameplay or system games. And so the current gen and then the next gen, and Deja Vu starting to hit. So I would encourage all of you out there, as I know I'm being a little long-winded here, but I think this is important because they just keep taking money, making promises, taking money, and I don't want to see people getting taken advantage of, and then me going on Twitter and everybody else going on Twitter and Instagram or whatever else and seeing the hate just drop tweet after tweet after tweet. Like some of these choice language tweets out there, man, there are some people that are really, really angry, and which is why they've gone back to current gen or just completely hopped off the game altogether. And that's a whole nother thing that we could get into, but we'll save that for another video. But I think that we have an opportunity here leading into NBA 2K22. I think consumers really need to pay close attention to the pattern as the news starts to get released and ask yourself, what am I seeing? Are they telling me more of the same, making all these promises, and in the end up not delivering because it's the exact same pattern? Well, the marketers aren't stupid. They're gonna slightly adjust some things because they know some people are upset. They look at their numbers, they know people are hopping off the game. They're gonna take a different angle. And that started with saying, hey, look, we've acquired another development. team to help us, make this thing even better. Well, maybe it's the fact that they realize they're still going to be making 2 games, and they want to just make sure that it looks good enough for people to continue to have faith and go one more round with believing that 2K is going to get it done this time around. Well, hopefully I will have persuaded you to, view this with a grain of salt and not be overly hyped when all the news starts coming out, especially if it's something that kind of looks super appealing. But again, we're just talking about pictures and images and screenshots and short clips. We're not getting the full product. And so reserve judgment. Don't get caught up in the hype. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget, tap that like button, subscribe, hit that noti bell so you'll know when new content drops. As always, remember, love God, love people. Peace.
Keep that middle tight.
Yes.
That's my fault.
That's my fault. I could have went over there.